Okay, folks, welcome back to Hearthstone. I have a new deck I want to show you. I call it Curse of Magic. It is random cards that I liked and or that I thought were good. So it's kind of a zoo-ish deck, I guess you could say, if I'm using that term correctly. It's a fun deck, I will say, to say the very least. I've swapped a lot of cards in and out of this, so as far as I know, going from memory and screenshots and different things I took, this is the original version of this deck, which I think was, again, at least the most enjoyable to play. I don't know that it was actually efficient. Your win-loss ratio with this deck is extremely random. It is a bit of a strange deck for Warlock, considering that a lot of this deck is you getting to late game. A lot of Warlock cards are based on early game. If you look at Flame Imp and what used to be Succubus, Failstalker, things like that, you get a really good early game with a drawback, essentially. So, I'm actually going to start at the bottom. And one Void Lord, just because. Having Taunt at the end isn't bad. When this card came out, it was played obsessively, so I just kind of threw it in there. It's a Taunt that summons 3 demons with Taunt, which are basically just your, it just summons 3 Voidwalkers. So it's not bad. Kind of helps protect some of your bigger stuff. Generally, by endgame, your opponent should be running out of removal. However, keep in mind, I play in Wild, so depending on the deck your opponent has, Taunt is never bad, generally speaking. Generally, I think you want it more early game, more mid game, things like that, to be able to set things up. Nevertheless, you know, a 3/9 for 9 that summons 3 taunts with a Death Rattle that summons 3 taunts is not bad. Lord Draxus, I put this in mostly because I was worried about having lethal. So he has a weapon, he summons a 6/6 Infernal. So, and having the 15 health, he actually has saved me with having 15 health a few times. When you reach 15 health or you're below 15 health, if you have him and you can play him in hand, you might as well just play him and kind of start to add some pressure, ramp the end game up a little bit. Blood of the Ancient One. Now this is where this deck starts to get a little strange. I only have one of these, so rather than creating another one, which I very well could have, epics typically cost more. So typically if I have one epic just for the sake of fun, I'll just throw in one epic and then find something else to kind of put in as its counterpart, so to speak. So there's 2 of something. I actually just put in 2 Faceless Manipulators because I thought that would be a little more interesting than just having 2 of these, and it actually works quite well. Perhaps better than you would expect. With the Faceless Manipulator, it's a bit of a, I feel like it leans towards me copying my opponent's minions a little more. However, that said, I have managed to get 2 of these out on the board, and I have been able to summon the Ancient One a couple, 2-3 times, and by that point the Ancient One is a 30/30 that costs 10. So by that point, towards, you figure this is a turn 9 play. Faceless Manipulator is a turn 10, assuming you're playing on curve. Then you have to wait one more turn. Is it the end or the start of your turn? At the end of your turn. So yeah, your opponent basically has one turn to either try to deal with it or concede. They're dead one way or another, generally speaking. Twisting Nether. I generally include this. This is one of those cards that's generally an auto include, just because it's kind of resets the board. 8 cost is when things are starting to get, your opponent starting to play a lot of their bigger cards. If you've ran out of removal or you're just not drawing your removal, what have you, this is kind of clears the board, kind of helps you set up so you can play something, one of your bigger minions, or Draxus, something. It's just a nice card to have. Generally, of course, you want to play this when you don't have minions. So I typically find with Warlock decks, by the time I play this, either what I'm going to lose really doesn't matter, or I have no minions at all, so I'm just clearing my opponent's board. Really good for taunts. There's a lot of bigger taunts now in the game, and Twisting Nether can deal with those rather nicely. 2 Siphon Souls for removal and a little bit of healing. You will notice with this card and the next one, Arathi Broodmother. This card is a bit strange in all the right ways. So it's a 4/6 for 6, which is not bad for a taunt minion in and of itself. When you draw this, it restores 4 health to your hero. I have actually overhealed with this deck, which again is very strange for a Warlock. I can just keep drawing and keep healing, and yeah, it's kind of nice. So it works well with Plot Twist. So if you generally, how I've used this, I think most effectively, is if you've used this in your first hand, say you mulliganed and you still didn't like what you got, you can use Plot Twist. It shuffles all the cards back in your deck and then redraws however many you shuffled back in. So if you end up drawing Broodmother, of course it's not going to do anything when the game starts. You can shuffle it back in your deck, use your hero power. This will heal you up a little bit, even if you're down a little bit, like 25. I mean, it heals you back up to 29. So it's not too bad. And then you have a nice little taunt for 6 cost. It seems like it might be like 1 mana higher than it should be, but it actually plays really well in curve or just to hold in your hand. There's rarely been a time where I've had this in my hand, and I wish I hadn't. I wish I had something else. If anything, it's more of a inconvenience when you don't draw these. 2 Omega Agents. Now this is probably the backbone of the end game. If you have 10 mana, you summon 2 copies of this. So you summon 3 4/5s altogether. And what I find is, when I have 10 mana, is the only time I play these, because it's really the only time it's actually efficient. A 4/5 for 5, if it was just a plain card, wouldn't be terrible, but it wouldn't be great. I think it's about on par with like a Yeti. I think a Yeti's either 4 or 5, somewhere around there. What I find is that by the time you get to turn 10, your opponent will try to throw whatever remaining removal they have at this. And then either the same turn or the next turn, you can play the other one, because they only cost 5. So theoretically, you could play both of these and get 6 4/5s on the board. And typically the second one around they can't deal with as well. So it's really nice. You can either take out whatever they have on the board or just start to go face, what have you. You really don't need to use too much of this in combination. I either end up using Omega Agent, the Ancient One, or Duraxis for lethal. You typically don't end up needing to use some combination of the three. That's why I said, depending on the game, you can do some kind of interesting things with this deck, which is kind of nice. That's why I like it. I also included a Soul Infusion, which I have been able to use on the Omega Agent. It's a bit of a weird setup, because you do have to have 10 mana to get the 2 copies. If you can pull it off, however, it's a 6/7. So you have 3 6/7s on the board, which is even worse. 1 Karma Kazam. Again, kind of an auto include. I just like this card. I think it's kind of neat. I mostly put it in here just because mid game you need, if you don't have something on the board, this helps you just kind of have something on the board. You're not necessarily going to do a lot with it. It only summons a 1/1, 2/2, or 3/3, and 3/3, I should say. Most people take out the 1/1 fairly quickly, and then you're just left with the 2/2 and the 3/3. Still, kind of nice to have just mid game, just to kind of get you, depending on what your opponent has. A lot of decks have a lot of little creatures in them, so don't underestimate having something like this that can give you just some minions to throw at your opponent's board. Faceless Manipulator, I already mentioned. Life Drinker. Now, I added this in a little after making this deck. Not so much for the healing, but for the damage. Soulfire, Hellfire, and Life Drinker I put in mostly just to have lethal towards endgame. The fact that it heals you is just kind of a nice bonus. Kind of a delightful little add-on there. Dealing 3 damage and healing for 3 is pretty good. It's 3/3 for 4, which is not terrible. Again, kind of one of those cards people play or played obsessively when it first came out. So I've actually won the game with some combination of Soulfire, Curse of Ramphrin, and I believe it was Life Drinker. So yeah, and that's what I kind of like in some ways, is you don't have to use these cards in combination, like Omega Agent, things like that. They're kind of good on their own, but you have options where you can, again, depending on how the game goes. I find if there's one thing I've learned playing this game, it's that you're never going to play exactly the same game twice, which sounds like an obvious statement. With some of the net decks we've had, you're never quite sure. You can kind of sit here and almost card for card figure out what your opponent's going to play. So having a deck where you have a little bit of versatility, yet you kind of have a meta or a tempo of your own, so to speak, is, I think, kind of makes a better deck. I think kind of makes it more enjoyable to play. If you're constantly thinking about what you need to do and what your opponent might do and things like that. 1 Hellfire. If this deck has a drawback, it's the fact that it doesn't clear. I have trouble clearing the board early game. I put in 1 Defile. I think I had 2 of these, and I swapped 1 out for something. And this just doesn't work, as I'm horribly disappointed at this point that this doesn't work better. As I thought it would. It was used on me, and it just doesn't, you really have to have the right board to use this to get the full effect. If you kill a minion with this card, it triggers again. So it'll do another 1 damage, and then if it kills something, it'll do it again and again and again. So theoretically, it can add up to doing a lot of damage. However, if it doesn't kill anything, it stops. And that's kind of where I find the issue. I keep trying to set it up, and it just doesn't seem... I can't seem to get it to work where I feel like I'm getting value out of it, I guess would be the way to put it. I keep it in here because there are a lot of 1 health minions that you will run up against, especially in net deckish kind of games. Not necessarily net decks per se, maybe older versions, or maybe something somebody tried to update, something like that. So Hellfire, just to kind of help clear the board, a little more early game if you're taking a lot of damage. And as I said, with the Broodmother and different ones, you're kind of overhealing, so you need to take a little bit of damage just so that that's not wasted. You should be drawing. This deck very much encourages you to hero power to draw. So having... Admittedly, it doesn't work the best. I've tried different ones. I've tried some of the Infernals and different ones. The Infernals are kind of too late. The Dreadlords, again, they only do 1 damage. They tend to die quicker in this deck for some reason. I don't understand why. I've used them in other decks, and they end up staying on the board forever. Yeah, it's kind of one of those weird things. Some cards in different decks, I mean, they do the exact same thing, yet in practice, when you're actually playing the game, for some reason they don't seem to have the same effect or the same value, same outcome as what they've had in other decks. I guess that is the strength and weaknesses of building different decks. Archmage Vargoth, mainly because this was new when I got it. Yeah. Very random card, to say the very least. I have a lot of spells, so having this one, he's triggered Karma Kazam once, and different things like that. If the target wasn't chosen at random, if it was your, just repeat a spell effect that occurred, I think this would be much better. You could very easily swap this out for something else. Again, I just kind of kept him in here because this was kind of the original version of this deck. So I just wanted to leave him in, kind of see how he did, see if it was... It's been a little while since I've played this deck, so swapping everything back to kind of the way it was before, I just wanted to see if there was any value to it, or if I was just remembering it as just not being that good in this deck. This worked. The only deck I've really gotten really good value out of this card was my Hunter deck with the with like Deadly Shot and things like that. If it was the only card on the board, it would generally trigger your opponent's target your opponent's minions. So you actually got 2 Deadly Shots for the price of 1. Doubling Imp. I actually had 2 of these. I took one out. This was more of what I was thinking when I put Soul Infusion in. I rarely get to use the combo. However, having a 2/2 for 3 that doubles itself is actually kind of nice early game. Again, little minions, I have trouble dealing with the board in oftentimes early game, so this kind of helps. It's not the best value, but it does have a place. So for the time being, I've left it. I've always had this in the deck. It's kind of odd to leave something in where you could be getting better value with something else. I'm just not sure what to swap it out for. There's so few cards that actually copy themselves as a 2/2. So I know I could swap in something else that would give me something else. Maybe a Imp Gang Boss maybe might be better I don't know. People kind of target these. This was part of a pretty good meta deck back in the game. So if people remember that, people tend to target these pretty hard. Again, when you can get Soul Infusion to work, pretty good. Pretty good. It turns into a 4/4 that makes a copy of another 4/4. So yeah. Plot twist already mentioned. Plated Beetle. I'm thinking I put this in here just kind of round out the deck. There's really no reason for it. You could swap this out for something else. Gives you 3 armor, which helps with your hero power. Not really a lot to say on that. Pretty good card. I like this card. I've used this card a lot for a low cost card. You know, it's really rare. I will say this. It's really rare that we get a really good low cost card that we can open with. It's a neutral. Gnome Feratu. This is probably one of my favorite Warlock cards. Remove the top card of your opponent's deck. If you can get this out early game. I've burned some pretty good stuff with this. I've burned a Paladin's Death Knight card, their Death Knight version. So you can burn. Sometimes you get lucky, sometimes you don't. It just kind of depends. Burning a card from your opponent's deck overall is typically not bad. So, and she's a 2/3, so that's. I mean, she'll trade in some cases. Defile, I already mentioned. Curse of Ramfram. Basically just cards I liked or I thought were fun to play. And we don't have too many curses. I was disappointed they didn't try to do more with this kind of concept. So, as I said, I've won the game with this. If you can throw it in your opponent's hand towards the end, they take 2 damage regardless. I've had some people that try to be clever and leave it in their deck, and they end up taking 2, 4, 6 damage. At that point, it's more than done its job. I put 2 of these in just to be annoying. Or again, early game, if you can get them to waste their mana, even on a 3/3, if they don't have a 1 drop. Yeah. Soulfire, just for try to help with lethal. Really, is the only thing I use this for. I don't know, depending on what's in my hand, if I would risk discarding a card for this. It's mostly, almost exclusively just for lethal. And then Power Overwhelming, just one, just to try to help with removal. And it actually works rather well. I was surprised how generally it destroys whatever minion you use this on. So generally, there's a pretty big drawback. You get to clear the board of something, however, you lose a minion. That doesn't actually seem to be too much of a problem. It's a 1 cost, so I can generally buff something, you know, Gnome Feratu, something up. This becomes a 6 attack with this. So that will pretty much clear just about anything off the board, reasonably speaking. So not too bad. And then 2 Mortal Coils just to help with draw and again kind of help keep the board clear from little things. So there you go. That is the deck I call Curse of Magic. So let's us try to find a game. Hopefully, something interesting will happen. So,
Gul'dan versus Anduin.
The light shall bring victory.
Your soul shall be mine.
Okay. Not a great opening hand. You really don't want Omega Agent in your hand at the start. Or Lord Duraxis. Defile and Mortal Coil are good, so this might balance out. Let's see what he has. Although with a Priest, Defile may not be good if I'm just damaging things for him to heal. So. What's happening here? Is this a bot? Am I playing against a bot? I will have to say, I have noticed that there are far more golden heroes in Wild than in Standard. Which I find kind of hilarious. I suppose it would be easier in Wild since you have all access to all your cards. Okay. So potentially, so Defile may still be bad in this. Plot twist. And I am very tempted to use it because I have 3 cards, half of my hand I can't use, so.
Mummy needs 5 more minutes.
Okay, so that's Reborn, give friendly minion +1/+1. I kind of want to play her, but I also I think, let's play her first.
So sweet.
Oh! Yes! Got his Sylvanas. Oh, that is nice. That could have really hurt me. And towards end game. Okay. So, yeah, I'm thinking plot twist. Unless I draw my other... Yeah, definitely plot twist. So... Well, that's almost worse. Do I play Plated Beetle or... Oh man, I have a notion to play this just to try to get him to waste some mana or take some damage. Well, he can heal right through it though. That would still be wasting his mana, so let's do this, because my other option would be to play Plated Beetle, which he's just going to run his minions into. He's only got 2 damage on the board, so that's fine for the moment. I haven't drawn any of my healing. And drawing, I don't think really... Tapping really doesn't make any sense. So let's do that. See what he does. See if he's a bot, or if there's actually a person behind this somewhere. Okay. Nope, and he's going to leave it in his hand. So I think that was probably the correct play. What does this do? And see how nice that worked? I have a notion to, even though I have Blood of the Ancient One in hand, I have a notion to place this manipulator this to try to help clear his board. Wouldn't be a terrible idea. At least would slow him down from me taking damage. So hopefully, unless he has some kind of a silence. Okay, he's gonna finally play that. That did 6 damage, so I think it more than paid for itself. I would love for you to run the Taunt in and for them to kill each other. I could play Broodmother, but I kinda... that's gonna destroy whatever I play. And I don't have any cards with Death Rattle effects, so... Well, this is annoying. And I definitely don't want to play this on Duraxis, so... Do we play anything? I feel like if we're going to do anything, playing Plated Beetle would be... If I lost it, it wouldn't be a great loss, and I would get the armor. so... Okay, or there's that.
My
Let's...
blown.
Do I kill this or do I let him kill it? I think I let him kill it. Because if he runs this in, there's a greater chance. Yeah. Let's see. I'm still not sure if this is a bot. There we go. What did I just say? I am fine with that.
The end begins.
That was the best possible outcome. This has to be a bot because that was incredibly. That was an incredibly bad play to just lose a 6/6 like that, unless he just saw no other alternative. So I have a Mortal Coil, so have a notion to do this. Play Karma Kazam. There's really no point in playing Broodmother. Yeah, let's play this. Let's see what he's got. Did I draw my? I did. That's synergy right there, people. He just seems to be summoning a bunch of little things. We are getting up here in mana, so there may be something bigger. Well, that's not good. Do I have any way of dealing with that? That's 5, 6. I'm one short.
So many possibilities.
The only thing I can think of to do is try to stall him until I can figure something else out. Because right now, there's really nothing I can do that makes sense. I could run her into the turtle. And she dies. Of course she does. And he plays that right away. But see, he essentially wasted his turn, so... I lost my taunt, but he has nothing to buff, so... And now I need to make a decision on... what to do here. Do I take a chance in playing this, and then this?
So many possibilities.
Or do I play this? And I don't know what playing this does, though. So... yeah. Let's do that. Does he have a way to kill it? He does not. Okay, folks, so you might may get to see the Ancient One.
Mummy needs 5 more minutes.
So, okay, now, see, now endgame. This is starting to come together here. Let's do this. God, I wish I had a way to kill this. It is what it is. Let's do that. Let's go face. And you know what? We've got the mana. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Let's hold on before we do that. I've already attacked with
Minion
this.
already attacked.
5, 6, 7. Yeah. Yeah. Because that's... those will fine. So I should be fine. There we go! Ha! We gotta love it! So... He's a bot. Or no, maybe there's an actual person there. I don't know, but you're about one turn from losing, dude. Even if you play the maiden. Oh, that's unfortunate.
Mummy needs 5 more minutes.
Edit. No, it doesn't. I could probably play Defile. What do these do? Give a random. Oh, okay, no. So that probably wouldn't be wise. So it's got to be done. I don't see any other way. Yes! Ha! Those off the board. That on the board. Ha! Oh, that was lucky. I was. Ha! You wasted your time on too many of these smaller
Mummy
moves,
needs
dude.
5 more minutes.
He wanted that other
Mummy
contact.
needs 5
Well, no, this
more
one destroys one
minutes.
too. Ugh. Got a little. Yes, 2.
Fades.
Okay, I'm gonna set him up here. This works correctly. That did not work quite as I had planned. But I wanted to flood the board. Yes! Haha. Yeah, no. We play that. Let's draw. I'm really surprised he hasn't conceded. This is the longest I've had a game go on after summoning the ancient one.
You are safe now.
I don't think that's gonna help you at this point, dude.
Feed you to master.
Well, I-3030 is still bigger, so. Ha ha! Ha! I can kill him, right? 30. 4. 5, 6, 7. No! Damn it. Okay. So I should probably. I don't know. Do I leave this or do I go face? I kind of think I need to kill this. No, you know what? I'm going to do this. I'm going to sink that. There we go. That makes more sense. I feel better about that. Yeah, that's better. There we go. Yeah, I like that. Okay, there we go. He should have waited for me to get through his cards more before he played the Warden. It still doesn't matter, dude! Okay, well that was cute and all, but 1414 can still kill you. And that was a golden priest too! Oh, that felt good. We could not have asked for a better game. I was hoping for an interesting game. I think that qualifies. Oh. See, I wasn't lying. You can have some fun with this deck. Once you kind of figure out all the little synergies with the cards.
Gul'dan versus Maiev.
I think
None
you
escape my
can.
fury.
Your soul.
Smart moves.
Out of fear, no doubt. My legacy is. Oh, that was great. And that was my 100th win. So there we go, 400 more. Oh. My reputation precedes me at this point.
Gul'dan versus
Okay.
Uther.
I will fight with honor. Your soul shall be mine.
Probably went to play a different class and it was like, it's the same person! Not going through this nightmare again. Oh. Okay. Well, now this is a better opening hand. This is about the best opening hand you could ask for. Might be better if we had something other than Soulfire, but that's fine. So. Well, oh, do I wait or do I? You know what? I'm going to wait. I'm going to coil this to draw. There we go. I feel like that would have killed both of them, but that would have been a waste. I'll take 2 damage. That's fine. I haven't drawn any of my healing yet, so that's fine. I want you to build a board up. And then watch as I horribly kill it. He's got 3 cards. If we can get him out of cards, you can shut down a Murloc deck. So if I take a little bit of damage on the offset, that's fine. There we go. Okay. I'm so sorry. I wish we still had a sorry button. I'm so sorry. It killed my girl, but yeah. Let's go ahead and try to. Oh, that's gotta hurt. Oh, like I said, this little card can do a lot. And then sometimes it just draws. It just seems to burn the most insignificant card, and you're like, oh, that's disappointing. Do you just want to concede? I won't blame you if you concede.
Give me a kiss.
At this point, I think you're probably right in doing so. Let's play that, because I want to play Karma Kazam next, probably. Kind of surprised he didn't play a Murloc, unless this is something else. If he had a 10-cost mana card, or 10-cost Murloc card, I doubt that. Ooh, there's a possibility here. No, I want to do this because it'll.
Scry more.
It'll summon these again. Unfortunately, it won't summon a 3/3. That was my fault. I wasn't thinking. I've ended up doing this more times than I care to admit. I don't know why it just doesn't randomly summon 2 of the 3 of these, but okay.
duty.
So now, which is a shame because now plot twist is kind of wasted, but it may still come in handy here momentarily. Well, he does have me down to 18 health, so I shouldn't be so quick to
Try more.
complain. Do I want to plot twist? No, because I want it to put another card in his hand. So there we go. I mean, that is value right there. You really have to set this Archmage Valgoth up. You really have to set this card up in order for it to work where it's beneficial to you. Because I've played it not really kind of paying attention and thinking it was going to do something it didn't, and it ended up probably hurting me more than it helped. So let's do this. Independent. Yeah. Okay. Wonder what's in his hand. Because he has hardly played anything. Heal back up with that, okay. Okay, I'm going to play this in plot twist because I can't do anything here and I really want to try to get him down, so. Okay, see, here's my healing. Very good. And I think we'll go ahead and use that on her. Very good. Let's draw. Okay. Okay! So I think that was worthwhile. That was beneficial for a variety of reasons, so. And I got Lord Draxus now, so if I had to play a 9 drop, I would rather play Lord Draxus than the Board Lord. This is a bit of a weird card, I've noticed, in practice. So he's got 3 minions. Okay. Well, I still have Siphon Souls, so, and you can't hero, so you'll never get the benefit of that, or... You know what? I'm just going to Twisting Nether. Yeah. I'm not even going to screw around with this. Let's just Twisting Nether. Because Murkai will synergize with any other Murlocs he may have. Just, you know, try to keep this shut down. So I've got big stuff.
Reporting for duty.
I can deal with this. So I do think I need to play a taunt at some point, either a taunt or Draxus.
Let me think.
Okay, or that. That works. That works too. Yeah, I think that's probably the default one here, isn't it?
Are one.
And then,
Are one.
I don't know. I don't want you to have inner synergy with anything. There we go. Well, that's 12 damage. So if I did Draxus, oh, that's lethal, because he has his weapon has 3 attacks. So You have a consecration, or
Reporting for duty.
you just feeling? Nope. Nope. Okay. Well, GG, dude. GG, dude. See, as I said, if you can shut this down early,
You face Daraxus!
Unity! With unity!
they typically don't have anything else, so. And that's game. That's what you get for facing Daraxus. Indeed. Let's play one more game. I think you're getting a good idea of what this deck can do. There's a lot of utility to it.
Gul'dan versus Anduin.
The light shall bring victory.
Your soul shall be mine!
Okay, well, none of this is good, so send it all back. Not terrible.
Job's done.
Thinking real hard about plot twisting here.
Is someone injured?
Yeah, I don't really see where I have a choice, so. That's fine.
Job's done.
That's why we have it. Better. Not great. Just overhealed myself. And I only have one of those, so. Yeah, I haven't drawn any of these and have been able to plot twist to show you how that works. Oh, none of this is so bad for so many reasons. I see a golden hero and I just assume the deck's going to be some kind of just BS anymore. I just expect nonsense, so. There's been a few games though. I think they get over cocky, and they're not used to like encountering. Like this is a random deck, so they really don't know like what to expect, what to. I think I've lost. Because I have nothing I can do here. And he's already pretty well got himself set up, so. Yeah. Because if I Mortal Coil this and then Defile, he's just going to heal this, so there's no point in that, so. Yeah, I'm about ready to I feel like in some occasions I tend to concede too quickly, but yeah, I'm already down half my health. This is, yeah, GG, dude. Whatever nonsense that was, GG. So there you go, folks. I think in the games we were able to play, I think we got to see how this deck works. Like I said, it's kind of it's a fun deck to play. The win ratio as I said, was kind of random. I think you saw that. It kind of jumps all over the place, but not too bad when everything works. Yeah, it works. It works well. I think there's not a lot of RNG with this deck, and I think with a lot of the cards having kind of a random chance to do something, I think that's why Archmage is a bit of a weird card to have in here, because it does have that, targets chosen at random. However, as you saw, if you can set it up right, typically it works best when you don't have a lot of minions on your side of the board. Even if you use a card on one of your minions, it just seems to work better that way. You seem to have less of a negative effect to you. And it makes you kind of think about how cards kind of interact, because you don't necessarily think, well, if my opponent uses this, what will it do? Because with the Archmage, if it chooses your opponent's minion, you can actually unintentionally end up buffing benefiting them, buffing one of their monsters, and giving yourself somewhat of a drawback. So yeah, kind of a fun little deck. I think I did about everything that I would have wanted to demonstrate. So we got the Ancient one out. I used Draxus. We summoned the Omega agent. Yeah, not a bad little deck. So I hope you enjoyed that, and thank you for watching.